1999, the film industry compact cameras was in a little bit of a dilemma. It could see the digital revolution around the corner, but it hadn't quite happened. The digital cameras which were around were expensive and the quality still had somewhat to go. So there was a very strong line of compact film cameras, and one which was popular was the MJU range from Olympus. And I've talked before about the 1 and the 2 with a fixed focal lens. Olympus also had a whole range of MJU 3s with zoom, so you get a 150, a 120, and this one is a MJU 115. It's MJU 3115, and you do get them in different designs, and I think this came out in 1999. It was made in China, and we have what was known as a cam cover there, camshell cover, and when you open that you will feel the lens and the little flash here. It's extremely compact in size. To load a film is very straightforward, checking there's no film in here, film in here, cross there, close back, and away we go. The operating of the zoom is on the top here, and we have a shutter release here that some people criticised compared to the earlier compact cameras. We have a nice diopter on the back, which is extremely useful if you wear glasses, and we also have on the controls, we had the option of a flash, option of a remote from this hasn't got a remote, but I think you had an option to have one. A really useful focus override and flash override of a mountain landscape scene here, because the flash would pop up all the time and sometimes you don't want it, and especially on landscapes, so by pressing the landscape, that is extremely useful. And we also have a little device that if we wish to wind back the film halfway through, we can use this here and press it and it will wind the film back. We have tripod mount on the back, and that is it on this autofocus camera. It's become a bit of a legend, these Olympuses. When they came out, they weren't the cheapest of cameras. I think the range was from about £80 to about £200, and they were moderately popular. In a sense, they've become far more popular as a film camera nowadays. It's often a popular choice, especially the non-zoom models which have a faster lens. Because of zoom lens has so many elements in it, it is inclined to be slower, and not everyone wants a slow lens. Having said that, these lenses are still very, very good. The autofocus works extremely well. I can't remember offhand how many points, but I'm sure someone online will remind us. Some people criticise them that they are, in some people's view, a little bit flimsy. I would say you need to be a little bit careful with them because they are lovely to use and they are super holiday camera, vacation camera. They're a good street camera as well because they are very light. However, this cam-shell design hides a micro slits which I have known to fail, and I have come across a lot of these, quite a few of these cameras not working. And if you are spending a lot online without seeing the camera, make sure you can send it back and the person is not going to be difficult. I'm sure they won't be, but it is ideally you need to be able to pick one of these up with a battery and try it. Oh, that's a good thought that I had almost forgotten. The battery is unfortunately not a simple AA. It's a 1, 2, 3. Yes, a 1, 2, 3 battery there. I have had a number of these in my time, and I do like them. Let's see how I got on when I used it in the field. I took these photographs on Poundbury, which is part of Dorchester, which is being developed by the Prince of Wales. The Prince of Wales in the UK is known in this part as the Duchy of Cornwall, as the Duke of Cornwall. And as the Duke of Cornwall, he has a lot of land, and he is developing this as a large housing project. And it's a fascinating area to test the Olympus out on, because this area is huge and has a particular style of architecture, and I thought our zoom lens would be very useful to get both the landscape and the detail and perhaps some closer up shots. So this is looking out towards the countryside, and this is looking out to the new development. This is a development that has been built over the last 20 years, and I would say it still has another 10 years of building. It's a very large site, and it's a mixture of shops, of large residential area and businesses, and it's Prince George's sort of unique project in that he is passionate about a sort of traditional type of architecture, and it is sort of based on the ideas of Leo Cry, who was an architect who was very much inspired by the Italian village idea. So we have lots of squares and things. So how is the camera performing? Well, I think you can agree. It's sharp, it's well exposed, it's very easy to use. It's a little bit noisy on the zoom, so as a street camera I'm not quite sure how effective it actually is, and in the focal MJUs I actually slightly prefer, because as a street camera they're just a tiny bit smaller, and this isn't a large camera but it is definitely more bulky than the focal length ones. But as I said, it is clear to use. Here we have the Queen Mother in, of all places, Queen Mother's Square, and again perhaps I could have framed out a little bit better and could have got a bit closer, but the camera I think performed absolutely how you would expect. As I said, you do need to check these out because I have had them not working, but this, oh, you can see here I've captured this little lady, with her shopping basket, and you know, it's a good street camera I think, and the ease of operation is super. Even with this one problem, I've used some Nikons and I found on the long length of the lens you could easily get camera shake, but here I am using the 115 part and it's as clear as anything, and it must have upped the shutter speed a bit, but I'm not the most steady of hands, and yet on this camera I found that when I was using it on the longer focal length it was absolutely fine. You can see the sort of architecture here, and it's slightly questionable whether it's supposed to be in the style of Dorset, but we don't have many large palaces or places that look a bit like Regent Street. However, it is an interesting form of architecture, and people, a lot of people who live in Poundbury are very much enjoy living in Poundbury, and it has some great shops. It has a supermarket just on the other side of this building, and it has all sorts of businesses and coffee shops, and if you are ever in the southwest of England and want to look at some sort of recently built architecture and community, Poundbury is definitely something to look at. It has limited road markings. A lot of the paths are gravel. We have now moved into the town of Dorchester. And again, I'm really pleased with how this camera is operating. This is a genuine old building here, and I was quite interested how the greys worked on the building. Again, the exposure is absolutely fine, I think. I did have a couple of dud shots, but on the whole, the film came out, almost every image came out on the film, which doesn't always happen on a modern camera. I was very pleased with this MJU, and I think I might keep it for a bit because it's really useful to have in the car, or okay, we have phones on us all the time, but it's still really nice to have a usable compact camera that is easy to use and will get you a good result. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.